All right, welcome everybody to the live stream. I'm Dr. Frank Cadle, and this is the Get Fit and Be Lean program that I used to lose over 20% of my body weight in 2021. I want to thank everybody from all of the different platforms that I use to perform this multi-platform live stream. And I hope you guys will be free and offer your questions, comments, anything you'd like to know about the Get Fit and Be Lean program. So this week we're talking about the 2 veggie goal. And last week we talked about portion control. Portions of what? Well, the 2 veggie goal means we're shooting for portions of. Let's see if I can move that back. Oh yeah, that's good. There we go. That's better. 2 portions of raw or steamed vegetables with lunch and 2 portions with dinner. And what this allows us to do is increase the bulk of the food that we're eating, meaning that we're going to feel fuller with fewer calories. And it also maintains the nutrition that we need, all of the vitamins, the minerals, and fiber, as well as carbohydrates. So welcome Roger and Carlos. Welcome David Moon. Thanks so much everybody on TikTok for sharing this video. And if you can, hit me with some likes and some follows. Really helps with the interaction and getting the video out on the platform. So 2 servings of raw or steamed vegetables at lunch, 2 servings at dinner. What's a vegetable? A vegetable is a leafy green thing that grows above the ground. And when I ask my patients what's a vegetable, very commonly they will come up with lettuce. And that's correct. Lettuce is a vegetable, absolutely. But then typically they'll say something like tomatoes. Tomato is a berry. It's a thin-skinned organ of reproduction that contains seeds and nutrients for those seeds to grow. And then they'll say carrots. Carrots is a tuber, grows under the ground, stores starch for the organism. And that's not really what we're talking about for the 2 veggie goal. What we're talking for the 2 veggie goal is leafy green, grows above the ground. And if you can only come up with spinach and lettuce, you're going to have a tough time meeting the 2 veggie goal for 2 servings at lunch and 2 servings at dinner. So what I recommend is that you expand your repertoire of vegetables that you choose to partake of, and that you learn maybe some different meals that you can prepare. Typically in Western culture, if we say what's for dinner, we'll say a meat, whether it's beef or ham or chicken. And then we'll pick a starch that goes with that meat, whether it's potatoes or rice or noodles. And then maybe we'll throw in some vegetables there at the end. And while I am not a food demonizer, and I'm not going to tell you not to eat any particular kind of food, I will tell you that it's going to be tough to really maintain a balanced, limited nutrition with portion control. If you are looking at things that way, you're getting your high calorie density foods in first. And so what I want to recommend is that you expand your repertoire of vegetables to include arugula, which I personally never purchased until I started the Get Fit and Be Lean program. Things like kale, another thing I never bought. And now I got 3 or 4 different kale meals that I'm going to be hopefully showing you over the next week that I eat on a regular basis that helps increase my bulk of my food, which increases my satiety, the feeling of being satisfied after I eat. Also ensures that I get all of the vegetables and all of the minerals and vitamins that I need. So fennel, broccoli rabe, things like bean sprouts. So I showed some sprouts that I harvested earlier this week, and hopefully you can take a look at those videos and see what you can do to help emulate that in order to maintain the two veggie goal. And you're going to hear some people online who call themselves nutrition coaches or people who are psychiatrists with minimal training in nutrition or diet. And they're going to be telling you, oh, kale's terrible for you. It has defensive chemicals. That's the craziest thing I ever heard. And clearly, these carnivores have never tried to kill a boar with a spear. If they're telling you that kale has defensive chemicals, you want to see a defense. You try to take down a water buffalo. So, calorie deficit's foolproof. If you are in a calorie deficit, meaning you are taking in fewer calories than you are burning, yes, you are going to lose weight, but it is a much more complex problem than that. And I really want to thank you for this question. This is from Metamod at why is there no audio? Well, there should be audio. I can't imagine why there wouldn't be any audio. That's pretty frustrating. Let me check into that. Are you, Metamod, are you hearing my audio? I want to answer your question, but I want to make sure there is audio. Okay, I thought so. That's just somebody jerking me around. I'm going to have to put that in my filtered word. Okay, so what I want to say is that calorie deficit, calories in, calories out is definitely the way that we burn fat. Okay, no doubt about that. But it really looks at our bodies as a energy burning machine when really what we are is more of a very complex factory. And so we have to take into account the fact that not only are we providing energy with the nutrition that we take in, we are also providing the building blocks of the things that we want to create, the fats, the muscle, the fiber, the protein. All of this stuff needs to be in what we eat. And then there's the real big one is thermogenic adaptation. And thermogenic adaptation will dictate that if you have been in a calorie deficit for a period of time, your body is going to change your basic metabolic rate such that you are burning fewer calories at rest. And you can exercise as much as you want. It's not going to change that process. Okay. You are going to lose, probably 10%, maybe 200, 300 calories a day of burned calories just because your body is thermogenically adapting to the decreased caloric intake. And this can be really discouraging for people. But I want you to understand that although the calories in, calories out simplification is true, the reality is much more complex. And particularly if you look at exercise and the amount of calories that are burned during exercise, if you look at different populations in Africa where they don't have access to automobiles and they're walking every day, they're not burning that many more calories than the sedentary lifestyle American who sits on the couch and watches TV. And the reason is that their body is thermogenically adapted to decrease the amount of calories burned. Now, none of this even gets into the calorie absorption from different foods by different people based on their microbiome and their intestinal permeability and all of these very complex issues. And so this is one of the reasons that I really try to simplify this down to portion control, the two veggie goal, calisthenics, because, you're not going to go out and get a graduate degree in nutrition just because you want to lose some weight. And so you have to have some place to start. You have to have some simple processes that you can incorporate into your daily life in order to be successful. So I hope that answers your question. And the evolution of convenient food. It's easy to demonize food, but I don't find that it's very beneficial. And a lot of these guys that are pushing the meat diets, the carnivores, the clownivores, I call them, they say, oh, well, your processed food's going to kill you. And then they want to sell you something in a can that says it's like liver extract because you don't want to eat that much organ meat. Nobody's going to eat that many organ meats. And so they want to sell you an extracted organ-based powder. Well, what was it that took that organ meat and put it into that can, it was a process. That's processed food. So they're just lying to you about a whole bevy of things, including human evolution and anthropology and archaeology. And they're taking all this stuff and they take little snippets of information and try to extrapolate from that whatever it is that will support them selling you stuff. And that's really what it's all about for them. So, APS on warfarin, recent PE. Yeah, you should have a really close ongoing relationship with your physicians. That's my advice for that. And you have to be cautious when I talk about the 2-veggie goal. I'm talking about people who do not have a variety of multi-syllable diagnoses. Those people should talk to their physician and have a close ongoing relationship with that physician. They should not go surfing around the internet for random advice from random people who don't know their medical history. So, endovascular surgery in the brain is a really, really highly technical process, and you're lucky that those technologies were available, because in the past there might not be anything that could be done, or if it was done, it could be terribly invasive and have a lot of pretty serious side effects. All right, welcome Eric, welcome Metamod back. I'm very curious if you came back or if it just told me you were here again. Welcome Neod, welcome Sono, welcome Nancy Sue. I really want to thank everybody for taking a look at my lives. I hope you guys will check me out on all the different platforms. I'm tweeting out on a regular basis the background scientific information, the published peer-reviewed journal articles that support the Get Fit and Be Lean program that I have chosen and that I try to demonstrate to you guys on a regular basis. So welcome Edward and Frogtown. I think I've seen you here before. So that's it for pretty much the 2-veggie goal. I really have a couple of salads that are kind of my go-to thing, but I certainly don't only eat salads. And it's really easy with a salad or a sandwich or some other meal to throw on a couple of helpings of bean sprouts, which I showed myself harvesting earlier this week, and get your servings of vegetables. And this increases the bulk of your diet, it increases the fiber that supports the microbiome, that helps biochemically signal your body for satiety and helps you harvest the nutrition from the meals that you eat. So I really want to encourage you. No vegetables are required. You're completely wrong. You are so far wrong that I'm not really sure how you can bring it together enough to type that out. Why is it so difficult for the human body to be lean and fit? Okay, it's not difficult for the human body to be fit. If you find people who work physically on a regular basis, they're very, very fit and they stay that way. It's hard for us in our society, if we are sedentary, to stay fit, because it takes some, I really don't like to depend on words like motivation and that kind of thing. It takes a routine, it takes regularity. But then when you talk about our ability to stay thin, that is not genetically beneficial over the long run. The fact is, the reason you're here, the reason I'm here, is because our ancestors had the ability to survive the fasting times when food was not available. And they did that by depositing fat. And that's what we are programmed to do genetically. So that's the answer to that. I am not in the Army or the Marines, but I was in the Navy. It's been quite some time. Discipline, I really don't like to fall back on. I really think it's a question of scheduling and routine. I really think that routine, motivation, discipline, those things are going to fail you eventually. Okay. It's a question of routine. Is this what you always do at this time of day? People brush their teeth, people turn on their alarm clock, people, start their car and they put their seatbelt on, and they have all these routines in their life. And if you can incorporate a fitness routine and a portion control routine into your daily activity, then I think you can get some success. So that's what I recommend. And I really appreciate all of the viewers. We've had a big turnout for TikTok on a couple of my live streams over the past week or so, which is very gratifying after I got banned for hate speech. But I do want to let you know that I'm on all of these different platforms and you can find me almost anywhere. So look for Get Fit and Be Lean, and you can get fit and be lean. So if you have any questions, please send them in. If you don't want to give them on the live, you can always do them. So base my views on loose correlation and mechanistic speculations. No, I base my views on the peer-reviewed public research that I provide links to in my Twitter feed. So if you want to read one of those particular articles and explain to me your scientific basis for disputing that, that's fine, and come up with your own references. And I think what you really need to do is get your own account, because I'm going to mute you on mine. All right. Well, I think I answered most questions. Hi, James. Hi, Sunday. Is fiber loading to lose weight if you drink enough water? So water is a separate issue to me. Okay. Water is hydration, which is vital to bodily functions. And so I would include that in the routine aspects of getting a glass of water whenever you get something to eat, having a container of water that you take with you in your car. But I'm going to get into hydration. I'll probably spend a whole week on hydration. Next week is going to be on sleep. Sleep is vitally important to weight loss and fitness. And that's why I'm going to spend the whole week on it. And I hope you guys will continue to check out my videos. I'm really trying to pick up new followers on TikTok. I've been stagnant at 75,000 for a long time, but I'm going to keep on plugging away because I think this is a really important message that people need to hear. You saw the new guidelines came out from the American Academy of Pediatrics on obesity, and they are talking about earlier intervention with medications like Wegovy and Manjaro, and earlier interventions with things like surgery that are really almost irreversible and have the potential for complications that can occur even years later. So I really want to continue to, so high fiber diets need increased water intake. I have no objection to increasing your water intake if you're pursuing a high fiber diet, and I recommend a high fiber diet. So that's it for tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed it.